I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. Tea today is once again Builders, and it's not too hot because I poured it a little while ago. So no more screaming because I burned my mouth on camera. This is going to be a relatively short video because we've had a sick dog. Our elderly dog she's one of these long, low dogs. She's got a bit of dachshund in her, and she has chronic back problems in her old age. And we're just kind of coming out of a week of really severe back problems in which we were having to medicate her very frequently and being very careful in what she does and handling her and trying to keep her comfortable instead of pacing and panting and doggy meds, and it's just been a little stressful. Not to mention the fact that in order to keep her still so she can rest and the muscles in her back can relax, she's most comfortable on the couch, which meant that as much as possible, we needed to be on the couch with her. One of us needed to be on the couch with her. I mean, obviously we can't do this all the time, but as much as possible, we would try to sit with her while she was basically at her worst. And I think that also comforted her a bit, as well as keeping her in a place where she was comfortable and could sleep and lay still. Because she is less comfortable on the floor or in her dog bed, though she is using the dog beds again, so that's good. But this meant that we were spending a lot of time around the coffee table in the living room, not here at the dining room table. We don't have a game table. A lot of people don't have game tables, and we are fortunate that our dining room table is big enough to accommodate really sprawling games. But for a while now, I've been thinking about games that can be played on the coffee table, doing a series about that, just trying out some games. And I just hadn't gotten around to it now, but we decided to put some games on the coffee table and see how they fit. So we played, and I forgot to mention in last week's video, which I'll put a link to down there, Winter Games. Another winter game, which is a solo game, is Button Shy's Unsurmountable. And I've got the expansion collection too. It's got a bunch of expansions. And this is a fun little solo game. Wintry, you're mountain climbing, so snowy little cards. If you like Button Shy and you're looking for winter games, that's one to do. The first one that hit our coffee table, though, was Botnik, because this is a favorite game of ours. It is a two-player game. So that kind of does make it right in that sweet spot for the coffee table. In fact, because our coffee table has one of those desk kind of things that lifts up and out, this is stored like inside the coffee table. And it is a tile laying game where you are connecting little pipes with fruit and flowers and other little doohickeys thing to grow flowers in a post-apocalyptic world. Don't worry about the theme. It's just tile laying, and you're scoring off of number of tiles and also off of the fruits and flowers, the flowers that have fruit and flowers on them. So yeah, it's really simple, but at the same time, you're pulling tiles and you're swapping out tile choices, like one person chooses and then the next person chooses from the one that's left. So there is a little bit of strategic thinking that goes in there, but it's still fairly light and it's very, very enjoyable. I don't know if it's the tile laying, but this game is just like really satisfying. It does fit on the coffee table, like short-sided, and I didn't do my coffee table measurements. Hang on. Our coffee table measures 26 by 36, so that gives you a reference point here. We can play Botnik sitting across from each other because that's the way this game is laid out. The two players are across from each other. We can play it across the short side. There was one game we played where it got a little tight because I was building way down instead of down and across. So with that, you might want to consider sitting end to end like the long side. I mentioned Button Shy games. pretty much any button shy game is going to fit on a coffee table, depending upon the coffee table size. If you've got something really small, maybe not for some of them. Like Ugly Griffin Inn, I can play this on the coffee table and it will just barely fit on the short side with like the top one on the end just almost dangling off. But it's better if you do it like from one end to the other on the long side, because the layout for Ugly Griffin Inn makes a big L shape. So that's something to keep in mind. But most button shy games should fit on coffee tables, which brings me to, we also played Stew, the little bluffing game that Robert loves so much. I still have not won Stew. There's got to be a strategic way of doing this. If anybody has any hints for how to win Stew, I'll take them, because I just cannot win this game. He is the total master of Stew. And this is also kind of a cozy weather, cool weather game. Although you can tell, because I am in short sleeves, that it has warmed up here a little bit. Everything in the garden is dead, but it's warmed up. We also played Spots, which is just a nice little fun, light dice chucking game with dogs, which was appropriate since we were kind of, I was sitting on the couch and Robert's on the floor and we're dog sitting our elder dog who was dozing on the couch. But yeah, this is a nice little dice chucking game. The Botnik fits, and Stew, of course, fits, because essentially you just have a layout of several cards, and then you're just putting cards, you're drawing cards and putting them into the pot, which is kind of a discard deck, that kind of thing, or you're laying them on top of the several cards that are laid out. So no way, that's not going to fit. Spots, we played it a 2-player, and it kind of took up the whole coffee table. And I will put an insert in here showing how Spots laid out. But see, we had a big dice tray there too. So I am not sure with a 26 by 36 coffee table if you could play more than 2. It kind of depends upon what you do about the actual area in which you're chucking the dice. And then we played Sea Salt and Paper, which we're still playing this a lot. We love this little game. And there is an expansion for it out, which gives extra cards with new powers and abilities, which I am going to be getting pretty soon. But we played this at 2. At 2, it's perfectly fine for that size coffee table. But I was thinking about it, since a lot of the cards, let me see if I can stand this up here. Since a lot of the cards are cards that you're holding in your hand, like the ones that have, you're basically collecting a certain number of. And I mean, you are laying some out in pairs, but it doesn't take up huge amounts of real estate on the table, because you have a draw deck and you have 2 discard decks. And then you have whatever pairs of cards you lay down to activate special abilities. And you're trying to, and you call stop at the end of the round, like when you get 7, and then you're trying to get a total of 40. Although you can go over 7, and sometimes strategically that's really what you want to do. But it kind of depends upon how the cards are flowing. But it's a nifty little game, and with 2, it works on a coffee table perfectly. But I just got to thinking about it, and I thought, I think you might be able to play this at 4 players on a 26 by 36 coffee table. So after we finished our game of Stew, while Robert went off to medicate the dogs, I did like a dummy layout of Sea Salt and Paper, where basically I just basically took a whole bunch of turns going around, like as if there were 4 players, and playing down whatever 4 players might conceivably play down. And then at the end of it, I laid down their hand, so that we could turn over their hand so that I could, see what it would look like in final accounting when you're laying everything out on the table and scoring things up. And in that final scoring where people are spreading their cards out in front of them and calculating things up, I don't know, it might be slightly tight, but yeah, I'm looking at it, and I'll put an insert here to show the layout. I think sea salt and paper could be played on a coffee table with 4 people, because for most of the game, you're going to be holding cards in your hand as much as laying them down, maybe even more than laying them down, depending upon which cards you're collecting. The only ones you lay down are the ones that you're going to be activating special abilities on. And those are laid down in pairs. You get like a point. So that's something to keep in mind. This game could work on quite a few coffee tables. And that's all we played this weekend. We just did like small, 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 and small. Actually, this game is smaller than the dice tray we used. Games this weekend, because we were sitting around the coffee table sort of nursemaiding the elderly dog on the couch behind me. And I want to do this as a series, and there won't be a whole lot of things in the series, but I do want to try, when we don't have a sick dog, try a few more games on the coffee table. I do have some small games stored inside the table, including my button shy games, because I think that they would be good on the coffee table. But when we go to play them, we bring them into the dining room because we're playing other stuff, and we just stack up what we're going to play on the dining room table. See, stack over there. Anyhow, I want to welcome new subscribers. A bit late in the video to do that, but yeah, hi. Subscriber numbers are mysteriously going up again, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you find this enjoyable. I find it enjoyable. I just want to hang out and talk about games. And if you post comments, if you talk to me in the comments, I will talk back. Yes, I will. So yeah, I like chatting with people in the comments. I do want to mention a couple of channels, a shout out to a couple of channels that you might also like. On my profile, you can see a list, and it will have a tab for channels, and you can see the channels that I'm subscribed to. The channels I subscribe to are public, so you can browse those. But I do especially want to mention Second Star to the Left, Michelle and her daughter Billy. They do fun reviews and videos, and Billy kibitzes from the sidelines, and it's just a lot of fun. Robert and I really like their channel a lot, and we watch it all the time. Basically, it's like we're always waiting for another video to come out. And they do put out videos fairly regularly. The schedule sometimes gets a little erratic because stuff in real life happens, and that's the same with me, because I'm not a professional board game channel maker. They are more pro than I am, because they actually get review copies of games sometimes, or previews or stuff. I don't. I also want to mention SpielMill is back. They took a break for a few months because they bought a house. And they moved into the house, and now they have a game room with walls and walls and walls of shelves for their games and games and games and games. And so they did like a little kind of tour like of the game room area thing a week or two ago, and then like last week they posted the beginning of a series that's basically a tour of their shelves. Like they did the first few letters of the alphabet because they're alphabetizing their shelves. So they like did the cameras and talked about the games and went on, and that's always a lot of fun. I like looking at people's shelves. So yeah, definitely check out SpielMill and Second Star to the Left. I will put links to those channels in the description below. But yeah, we've just been dealing with stuff this past week, and games make a nice R&R from dealing with stressful stuff. But the thing is, sometimes stuff is just too stressful. It kind of sucks up your time and energy, and so you're looking and you're going like, wow, I've got that big, emphasis on the big, lovely game that I want to put on the table. And it's like, I just don't have the brain power or the energy to deal with that right now. And so it's good to go back to, say, old favorites like Botanic, or new favorites like Sea Salt and Paper or Spots. Robert really likes Spots a lot. And I specifically got Spots because I thought it would be kind of a low wattage game for those times when we just wanted to do something kind of light and fun. And just didn't have the time or energy for something heavier. And it fills that slot admirably. And of course, Button Shy games are always fun. They are a small company. The games are hand-packed, and they have a bunch of good designers working to come up with good games for them. They also have a Game of the Month club if you really like Button Shy stuff and we're not aware of that. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. It's been good sitting around the table chatting with you about stuff. I'm sorry I did not have more stuff, but I did let you know what fits on the coffee table. So measure your coffee table up and let me know in the comments what you play on your coffee table, what games fit on your coffee table, and the games that you think are really good sitting around the coffee table kind of games, because sometimes you really need small space games, and sometimes small box games are not always small space. Sometimes I've just been utterly shocked. It's like I've got a box, it's like this big, and I open it up and I do the layout and we play the game, and by the end of the game the whole dining room table is covered, and it's like I'm going like, oh my, and all of that came out of one small box. But so yeah, small box does not always mean small table. So it's nice to have some games that will fit in a small space, because sometimes that's exactly what you need. And leave me a comment. I like hearing from y'all, and I like chatting with y'all in these videos. Like, subscribe, etc., 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 etc. It's been fun. I will see you next time.